What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Checked In Podcast. If you haven't already, if this is your first time, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell because it'll let you guys know every time we upload. But with that being said, let's get right into this episode. And today I have a very awesome, dope guest, my boy Rico.
What's up, you guys? How you guys doing today?
Hopefully they're doing good, because if not, I'm gonna be mad.
Right? I'm gonna be upset to hear anything bad.
So I wanted to ask you a quick question. I want to just dive right into it. So from my understanding, based off how we were met and we introduced each other here in this room is when we actually met. So he's seen this transformation completely different. And he's noticed that I was painting, and he's all like, bro, your shit's not the greatest. Come here, bro. Let me introduce you to some stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But he we chopped it up, and real cool guy. And I was like, when this is all said and done, maybe one day I have all this bull. I was giving you my whole little spiel, and then
you're putting it all together. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now it's cool to see it all, put together, and then
final product. Yeah, it definitely comes out nice, man. I was really happy to see it. It's been a while since I've been back, so I love what you've done. The place, the backdrop, the painting, everything's very aesthetic. So
thank you,
happy
bro.
to be here, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So vision, reality, it's fucking awesome. Now it's full circle because now you're sitting in the chair being interviewed a little bit.
Now we're sitting here in the
chair.
This is
nice.
Man.
This is nice, bro. So let me ask you. So since we discussed a lot about painting, how did you get into the whole painting game? Because I see you also have it.
Yeah, I have it tattooed on my hand.
You know what I mean?
There.
So you have it tattooed.
The paintbrush there. Painting's kind of always been a big part of my life. It was a way for me to express my creativity when I was younger. I started out just doodling, drawing, things like that. As I got older, we used to go visit family members in LA, San Bernardino, different parts of the city. And I remember driving by the trains and the bridges and things like that, and seeing some of the street art and wondering man, how did they do that? How did they make that? How did they get it there? Is it a copy and paste type of thing? Then I started seeing some videos, sure enough, of graffiti and how active it was, and people drawing and creativity. So I kind of started to get an eye for art and how I could use it to express, in any way I was feeling, good, bad, by drawing trees, drawing the sun, school, and, everything that would make you do color kind of gave me an interest too. Once I kind of got older and reflected back to it, I was kind of like, this is something I like to do, Mm-hmm. So I started to just draw things that I would see in my head, visions, whether it was, a character or a symbol, anything that I would see. And painting for me kind of just became a way that I could, provide myself some type of therapy for how I was feeling at the time. Mm-hmm. And, it kind of became a stream for me to express myself. However, expressing yourself won't help you make a living in some circumstances. You kind of have to have a cash flow. My father, started seeing I was getting into painting and things like that and tagging. Sure enough, he started finding spray cans, and I was getting into trouble. And he started telling me oh, you're wasting your time, man, spraying chicken scratch on these walls. You got to find a job that's going to pay you, you're never going to make any money fucking painting walls. And, I kind of felt that as my dreams being shattered. I didn't say I had big hopes to be an artist or a muralist or anything in that sense there. I just wanted to see where it would take me. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of slowly started to kill my vision, but then I kind of thought, what, I can make something out of this if I keep pushing. After some years went by, I kind of started to believe him. I started seeing cars and nice things that I wanted, and drawing on this notebook wasn't making me no money. Mm-hmm. Tagging in the streets wasn't making me money. If anything, it was taking money. I was, spending money on spray cans, going out the street, ruining clothes, etc. So as I got older, I started getting into trades, following what my dad said. Became a plumber for a bit, became, construction worker, general labor, concrete, things like that. And then in the general labor world, painting fell in my lap. Mm-hmm. I went through a few other things, that kind of led me to it but I got with the painting company, long story short. And, having a spray can to a paintbrush is a completely different transition when you're applying it to something. So I found the same therapeutic, what could I say?
That feel.
That feel, yeah. I found that feel when I was doing it, and I was like, wow, this feels like I'm young, mm-hmm. and I'm climbing these buildings, and I'm tagging, and I'm painting again, let alone it being a commercial company. So I'm going up 70 feet on high rises, painting, rooftops, ceramic coating things, or painting Stater Brothers, Starbucks, things like that, markets of those such. And it kind of gave me that same feel, the heights, the adrenaline, the painting, the transition of what it was before and after. So I spent some time painting, and I got into the union, spent probably about 2.5 years there, journeyed out, really learned everything about the trade that I could, from waterproofing, fireproofing, because painting is a protective coating. People don't realize everything that it goes on, it protects for a certain amount of time. Definitely needs to be retouched, repainted, resurfaced. So got into painting in the union, spent some time there. I was making a good living. I was kind of transitioning from being a young teenager to becoming a young, father at the time. So prioritizing my life and what my finances were going to be was like, if this is going to feed me, this is going to be my cash flow, I have to make this work for me. I have to make it the best. So I started painting in the union. Life was going good. Everything was going great. But I slowly felt that like I wasn't fulfilling my dreams, and what I really wanted to do. I was kind of just doing it for a paycheck. So I started hearing like other guys talking about how they would paint a room for $400 or $500. Some of the older cats in the union, oh, I just painted this garage door, da 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 da. So they kind of started giving me ideas to brainstorm out of what I was doing, working for someone and painting all these buildings, Disneyland for somebody else. And why not transition the time and my experience and my creativity into myself? So I saved some money. I purchased a truck, equipment, sprayers, pressure washers, things like that, since I knew the ins and outs of the trade. And I kind of just went door knocking, man. COVID made it very easy for me. People were at their house. So during the time I was starting my business, I was door knocking, and people were at home, sure enough, painting themselves. I'd walk in and they open the door, and this lady's like, oh, wow, like a painter's knocking. My husband's painting the living room right now. Like, take a look. So I'd be like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, he is. Like, oh, okay, well, here's my card, so on and so forth. Go to the neighbors, do the same thing. Leave a card with a piece of tape in hopes they'd call back. And sure enough, man, after about a week or so, I think I dropped about 500 cards, and I was real discouraged. I was like, man, I dropped all these cards, and not one person called me back. Not one person wants to paint. Not one person wants to, improve their house, whatever it be. Sure enough, client called me back. Hey, I want to paint my house. Da 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 da. I spoke with you. My husband never completed the living room. I was like, oh wow, it's this same client. Returned to her house, gave her an estimate, completed the job there. It was like a living room and an additional like kitchen section, and painted that. She's, I think my neighbor wants to paint too. Easily influenced.
That's the nice thing about it, bro.
Honestly, that's it. When you kind of get those referrals, and people kind of just start handing you the work, kind of just starts to flow on its own. And did the neighbor's house, and the rest would honestly be history, man. Like, I did the neighbor's house, then I did the neighbor's house, and before I knew it, I painted 3 houses in a row in one corner section. So, when you drive to that street and you see those houses there, it's like, wow, it's very aesthetically pleasing. So obviously it makes the neighbor's house look a little less. So in the neighbor's house, hey, I need to paint my house too. After realizing my time and effort, my experience, and what I can do, I kind of slowed down and was like, wow, man, I kind of just made $2,000 in 2 days. In like 20 hours, 2 10-hour shifts. I do 40 in the union, and I barely see this.
Yeah.
I think I need to evaluate my time a little better and what I'm doing. Mind you, I never had any say role model or design to entrepreneurship, because my family doesn't come from that. My mother, my father, they've always worked in corporate America, typical, Mexican American household. So I didn't have any idea on how to run my own business, how to charge, how to make, taxes, how to make profits, how to, manage expenses. So it was all really a learning game for me, trying to take that dive and say, you know what, I'm going to leave my position here in the union and try to start something for myself. I'd say the self-taught and, the self-made, what's it called?
Entrepreneurs
like really gave me an insight to that, like being self-made, being about it for yourself. It really influenced me to like, you know what, I gotta learn this. I gotta figure it out.
Was this like a little bit of social media when you were on it, or was it more like, was it more the individuals that you were speaking to, or was it more of like social media where you seen like those motivational posts of like people, hey, look, this is what you can do if you really know how to? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that give you good information. There's a lot that give you bad information. Definitely. So, but that's why I wanted to ask. Sorry to interrupt it. I just wanted to ask that really quick because I wasn't sure.
Worries. That's a good question. Like kind of social media was influencing me, because like when I was younger, I was seeing like, kids my age or a little older than me having nice cars and doing things and seeing like, man, this kid washes cars, like that's crazy. You know, this kid cuts grass, that's crazy. Like, who'd have think like I'd be one of those next kids like painting a house. You know, so seeing that and kind of how they managed to build it gave me a lot of hope that I could somehow build this too. So diving into it, you know, I started painting house by house. I fell in love with the idea of how I can impact someone's life. Like, they walk into their house one day and their house is white, and they come back outside 4 or 5 days later and it's blue and white, gray, black, whatever color they decided to be, and they look at it and they're like, wow, like, you've changed the color of my house for you know, a long time. Typically, I feel like I leave my mark there when I paint a house. No one's going to repaint it for another 10 to 20 years, maybe not even if that, ever in the future. Because when people buy a house or purchase a home, it's really about making it yours, you know, adding your self-touch to it, your creativity, how you design the interior, how you design the exterior, landscaping, things like that. So I feel like people that paint their house are individually more creative. That's why those houses stand out when people decide to get them painted. And I kind of fell into a place where I feel like I could grow, because I was around people that were, you know, wealthy at the time and in wealthy areas that I knew I could succeed in. Because, I mean, who doesn't want a nice house, especially when you have good curb appeal and you invite people over to your house? It gives them that wow factor, you know?
Yeah.
This stands out. And they look around and every house is brown, gray, a basic modern track home style.
See, the thing that I was going to ask you is, right now, since we were talking about the painting and the clients choosing and everything like that, it's going to be a funny one, but have you ever had a client choose a color that you were just like, are you sure you want to go with that color?
Quite a few times.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
Have you like ever had it like, hey, let me redirect you really quick. Hold on.
Definitely. I've had to like kind of give them my input and be like, hey, you know what? I think this color will look like this. But mind you, I know you like this color. You really want this color. But if your couch is not going to match the aesthetic of what your walls is, you're going to see a very big change in transition and just the color scheme of how everything flows. You know, it's like, I really want it to be this color, and I would just say, why don't you mind going a little lighter, like a few shades lighter? Because I mean, I've had some clients that are like, I want this color, I love this color, and then I go and apply it. After it's been applied, they're like, you know what, I hate it, I gotta change the color now. Like, come on now, you see me applying it throughout the whole time. You're sitting there like, I kind of don't know yet, but I'm going to let them keep going. So, yeah, I've had a few instances where I've had to, you know, repaint clients and, you know, kind of redirect them into a better color scheme or a better color pattern, just because I know what it'll be for me on the back end to go and correct it for them. Just double the time, double the labor. If I can kind of persuade them into something, I would say better, then I would. Yeah,
the only reason why I wanted to really just ask that really fast is because, you know, you as a painter and just me as a person, right? Just as a normal person, not really into the industry as crazy as you are like that. You notice it, a sore eye like that. Boom, you're like, Definitely. So imagine if I notice it, I'm like, damn, I know how that painter probably felt. Like, I don't want to paint this color, but I'm like, here we go. You know what I mean?
I've actually, I went to go give a house an estimate and talk with the client, and they were like, oh yeah, I want to paint my house purple and white. And I was like, cool, you know, if you want to paint it purple, it's going to take this more coverage to get it to actually look purple. So and so, this is my price. Okay, well, I found someone else that'll do it for this price. Hey, mind you, take the deal, because in all honesty, I wouldn't want to paint your house purple.
Yeah.
And for you not to like it, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be my cup of tea, man.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, bro. Like, I've seen a house in a neighborhood that I drive by over in Downey, and it's like a Smurf blue.
Oh yeah.
People go that route too, and I'm just like, what the heck? Like, who? I'm like, either the wife said this is what I want, or the husband's like, I'm stubborn, I'm gonna do it, and this is how it's gonna be.
Typically 90% of the time, man, when it comes to painting, it's always I'm communicating with the wives.
Yeah.
The wives are like, I want this, I want that. The husband typically like, dude, paint the shit brown. I can care less.
You're like, know? Bro, just get it done so she's out of my ear, bro.
Honestly, but yeah, and then I've had a few where the men's like, you know what, man, I'm painting my house black and white, whether she likes it or not, whatever. But yeah, usually the women do lead the color direction.
That's fucking hilarious, bro. Yeah, I don't know. There's just some thumbs out there that I'm just like, those are pretty sore.
Yeah,
I'm like, I
definitely.
don't know how I feel about those.
Yeah.
But
Typically in LA, man, you do see a lot of blue houses, yellow houses, green houses, pink, even purple. Like
that pink one always gets me though.
Pink always
Yeah,
gets me
it
too,
gets
man.
me.
My
I'm like,
grandmother's house is pink, actually.
yeah,
man.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it because back then, you know, look, if the house is an older house,
It was like the Pueblos.
it was
and
just
Spanish, Mexican style.
that
to
was
have
the
a colored
style
house.
back then. I get that, but then like some just, I'm like, bro, it's just like it's not gonna go with your house. Like I just see it and boom. But the thing that I wanted to tell you is like, do you feel now that you've entered that industry of like the entrepreneur? Do you feel if let's just put it to you like this: do you feel if you were born and put in a position that it's the perfect time to be an entrepreneur, or do you feel like if you were just a little bit younger and then you would have got into the industry like now, it would have been easier? Do you feel like you were in the right time, or do you feel like it was if I would have done it now? The only reason why I asked that is because the way that the industry is now. I asked that because I want to add a follow-up question. I might as well just ask it now.
Yeah.
Because you know how you were talking about like your dad was talking, oh, it's like the chicken scratch is not going to pay the bills, anything like that. Right. So like now, given the fact that how social media is and you see some people like making a living off of it, do you feel like, damn, like if I was just born a little bit later, this would have been my route? Or do you feel like maybe this still would have been something that... And keep in mind, I'm bringing that up. It's a lot to digest because I'm asking if it's easier and if you feel like your life would have been different if in fact because of that.
Okay, it being easier now, I feel like it honestly would have been the same challenge because it's really all about how much effort you put into it and the environment you're in. You know, what people are doing around you. And I feel like if I would have been around the people that influence me now at that time, I think I would have flourished a lot more. But at that time, I was very isolated, very to myself. So I was using my own thoughts, my own creativity, my own network to kind of build myself. So I think it would be easier for me now to go back and try to start then, being, you know, older and having the mindset that I have now and the people I have around me to influence me. Possibly could have made it easier, but then a part of me kind of makes it feel like I can't say yes and no because I haven't been there to do it. I gotta be there to do it, to feel it, you know? And back to your question, how do I feel like my life would have been if social media would have populated then to now? Honestly, I think I really could have had a solid maybe career or, you know, business in street art and graffiti and all that because I was very passionate about it, and there was no Instagram to share your art and expose what you were doing and who you were. Mind you, I was just a young kid, you know, running around the streets, writing on walls. Nonetheless, you know, I did begin to create some very creative pieces that I take a lot of pride in, you know, that took a lot of time, that expressed a lot of emotions for me at the time and what I was going through. And graffiti now is so popular, man. People will call you and be like, hey, I want you to come paint my whole house, you know, graffiti, you know, style. People that like that style. And I know artists that make, you know, a good living off of it, close to millions. And they develop brands and streetwear and everything based off their art and their lifestyle that people take an interest to. So I definitely feel like my life could have went another route. Nonetheless, the story that was paved for me is the one that's on my hand, which is why it's a paintbrush now. So
right. But that's cool though, bro. I mean, let me ask you, have you ever had that conversation with a client where they're like, oh yeah, graffiti would be cool, and you're like, yeah, I offer that service as well?
I do.
Yeah,
I've had a few, and then I'll tell them like, most of the time it's a retaining wall, so they'll have a pool, and they'll be like, I want to do something really creative here on this back wall. I just don't know what. So then I'll show them some of my artwork. I'll be like, oh, mind you, if you're interested in murals or anything like that, I do offer services like that as well. Mind you, my style might come off a little strong or, you know, unappealing to some people. So when they see it, they're kind of like, oh, street art, like, you know?
Yeah.
They don't take the interest to like, oh, fine art. Some clients are like, oh, I want flowers or this or that, which I do too, but that is not like my creative expression. If you were to ask me like, hey, I want art, like artwork, actual artwork on this wall, it would be something like that.
That's fucking, yeah, bro. That's cool. I'm happy that you at least offer that service. And I mean, it's yeah, I do feel it though, because some people, it's
you
just,
have to have a taste.
Yeah, you have to have a taste for
that kind of art.
Because, okay, so it kind of leads me into what I want to get into a little bit. So recently on your stories, I did notice that you were out of the country.
Yeah, I was in Canada.
You were in Canada and you were painting. And it looked to me, now, you don't have to go too crazy into details if you don't feel comfortable, but it looked to me like you were painting some form of like high-rise type of like inside kind of like
it was a furniture store actually.
It was a furniture store, bro.
Furniture store.
That thing looks sick, bro.
Yeah, it was definitely a high-end furniture store. It's called RH. RH furniture store. So what they have is like high class luxury sofas, couches, beds, things like that. It was a clientele that just wanted to do a repaint. They had some gray accent walls in there. They wanted to get a nice fresh white on there to kind of bring up the aesthetic of, you know, the places you could see. All the furniture was nice, everything around it kind of made it really pop. So I think them adding that white really brightened it up and makes the furniture look more appealing as well.
Yeah, bro. Like you did a freaking really good job, and it looked like you were out there for what, like 2 weeks?
I think it was 12 days, bro.
12 days?
Yeah, 12 days.
Fuck, bro. But it looked like you were having a blast. The thing that trips me out is like I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but my boy is very, very fit. He actually is like swole. You feel me? That's how I see it. I don't know. I could be using the wrong word, but anyway, that's how I see it. So not only watching you paint, but also like watching you work out and run in that weather too, bro. Like I know it was fucking cold.
It was cold over there, man. I've honestly never experienced anything that cold. I've never been up north to Canada, let alone experience any type of weather like that. Like, you know, 30s, 40s. You kind of get that out here, LA, the Inland Empire, depending on where you travel to, Big Bear. But I've never been anywhere like below zero.
It looked like it was like when you were running, bro, you're holding your phone. I was like, fuck, bro. I was like, I don't know how he's doing it, but you had your little mask on sometimes. You had everything. I was like, bro, my boy's out there doing that.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep a consistent routine, you know, because I mean, painting, as much as I don't prioritize it now, it is my business. I have another business, like you were saying. I try to keep myself very fit and lean. I'm also a personal trainer. I got into that, you know, kind of forgetting about my health, trying to become an entrepreneur, you know, like working in corporate America, like everyone does. You're kind of just working every day. You go home, you go to sleep, you get to eat, and you watch some TV, and then the next day you do it again, you know, and that's your routine, and that becomes your consistent routine for a period of time, 4 months, 6 months, 7 months. And if you look back, you see the longevity of how long you've been, you know, say keeping that routine and the same diet, and it kind of takes a toll on you.
Right.
And I was just like, man, I'm not how I used to be. I don't feel.
When you say that routine diet and everything started in Toronto, but when you say that diet, are you talking about like fast food style type of diet?
Yeah, or fast food, and then just like your regular day-to-day eating, you know, because some days you have home-cooked meals.
Correct.
And whether you come from a Mexican household or a cultured household, you always have cultured food, which I would say is always the best and most filling, but it's not always the most nutritious and, you know, well balanced.
Right.
To eat on a day-to-day basis, you know.
Right.
But that's just us living and eating.
Yeah, all the carbs we get, bro.
Yeah, you know.
We be digesting them as Mexicans. We just be like,
yeah,
sucked honestly, it all in, bro.
And before you know it, you know, you're putting your pants on. Bro. You're putting your pants on and you're trying to suck like, it all in,
what's
man.
going on, man? My fucking belt needs another hole.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of got into health and fitness and things like that. So now that I kind of manage those two businesses, I try to incorporate, you know, my lifestyle and try not to kind of fall behind on what I'm doing on the back end. Anytime, you know, one of the businesses is keeping me busy. So yeah, when I was out in Canada, I was trying to run, go to the gym, and do everything I could. Mind you, I was working nights as well. So the furniture store didn't want to close down to lose business so that I could paint. So I was painting from 7 p.m. in the night till 7 a.m. in the morning. You know, going back to the hotel, sleeping a few hours, and then trying to wake up and still enjoy my day, just because my body wasn't used to sleeping that through that pattern, you know. Excuse me, when it was used to being up. So I was kind of like, man, if I keep sleeping all day, by the time I get back to work, I'm gonna feel tired, you know. So let me get up and move and run. So yeah, man, when I was out in Canada, I was trying to keep both my lives at a steady pace.
And stay back. Now let me ask you this before we obviously I want to get into the graffiti thing a little bit more, but how did you even come into doing that? Like, how does, like, if you can put it into perspective of an entrepreneur, let's just say someone that's watching that's an entrepreneur, it's like, how do you even go about, one, negotiating, and then two, how do you even go about like getting that form of like whether it be like referral or like how they found you, or how'd you even be like, hey, I'm gonna just send some information out there and see if it bites in Canada? Like, how'd you even get that?
Okay, so I have, you know, a few clientele. You know, most of my clients kind of are very high end. They have high end homes, things like that. So of course they have higher end friends, and you know, I painted a client's house in Highland, and so he referred me to one of his friends, and so I was actually working for a company maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and we're out in Washington. We were painting a market out there,
Different state.
Different state.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure for everyone that needs to understand that.
Yeah.
Because even me, I was like, hold on, we're talking about Washington Heights, Washington this. What are we talking
Washington
about?
State. So
All right,
I was painting out there for a company, and this guy walks up and was like, "Hey, are you guys painters?" And like, everyone from the job kind of didn't want to talk. They're like, "Yeah, like we're painters, whatever." So I went to him, I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm a painter. What's up?" At that time, I was kind of just starting out in painting, but I had the thought process in my mind. Like I'm gonna paint one day. I'm gonna have my own business. I had kind of already had that drive. So I was like, yeah, I'm a painter. He's like, oh, well, I have a barn that I want to paint over here in Canada. It's, not too far from the border. And I want to paint it. I see you guys painted this whole market, which we did. We had painted the Metropolitan Market in North Admiral, Washington. And so I seen his car, I was like, Range Rover, like, this guy obviously got money, He took my number down. At that time, we were all supposed to stay. Once we completed that job for the company, we're going to tell our boss, like, hey, don't fly us back home. We're going to stay here for an additional month on our own expense. And we're going to do a job out here. The job didn't fall through. Client was having some financial issues at the time. He was kind of still putting everything together for the barn that he wanted to paint. He hosted like rodeos and things like that. So we postponed it. We flew back. I mean, it was years later. It's been, maybe 4 years. He was a friend of the client that I painted in Highland. Wow. And so he posted his house on Instagram, having my house painted. And so he seen it and was like, hey, man, you just painted my friend's house, da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I have a job over here in Canada, my barn, as well as my daughter. My daughter owns a furniture store, so on and so forth. So
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I want to make sure I understand this. So is it just by sheer coincidence that guy knew that guy?
That's what I was wondering too, man. I was like, how could someone so far away on another part of the world? But check it out. So the client that I was painting for, he's an insurance broker. Oh, so your house catches on fire, rain, fall, whatever. And so I guess he helped him out.
All right.
In some way, somewhere. And that's how they knew each other, through insurance. And so I was like, wow, what a small world, man. Like, what a small world. But then again, it tells me, like, it's all about who you know. Yep. More things in life as I got older started to show me it's all about who you know. One resource is a mainstream connection.
Yeah, bro, that's fucking wild.
And so, sure enough, I ended up out there at the furniture store. And painted the store now. And sometime in a few months when the weather is better, I'll be headed back to Washington to do the barn for him as well.
The one thing that I did want to get back to and ask you really, really quickly, because obviously you did mention that you do training as well. And I want to get into that as well so that people can understand that. And then also, too, I want to put some, I'm going to, after the conversation's over, I want to put some pictures on there because I don't think they believe me because you're wearing black. So it's hiding a lot of you, know what I'm saying? It's hiding a lot. But so getting back to the graffiti part really fast, because obviously I try to keep everything to a minimum to an hour. So we can literally continue going crazy about fucking painting and all that whole market. Obviously, if you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. Definitely. But since we were talking about the graffiti and the market not being, I guess, as crazy back then, like how it is now, did you see all of the stuff that's going on in LA?
In the Heights.
Yep, you've seen that, right?
A beautiful building, man. So, seeing that just relives so much of my inner childhood, man.
Do you have a little bit of an itch of like,
man, like for that there being like when I was younger, like things like that weren't cool. Right. That was vandalism. You're ruining something. And now this multi-million-dollar building is standing there, projecting everyone's art and an expression of how they feel, how they write their name, how they make it look, and typically how you see it from a distance, it's like, what does that say? Or like, what is that? It gives people that wow factor that like, look, he got all the way up there just to put that there. And that's to me, that's meaningful because he put a lot of himself into that, in that artwork piece, and now that's stamped there for however long it's going to be, and to this day, it's still not paid.
Yeah, bro, it's still not taking it because it's like on glass and like all this stuff.
What could that be now for Los Angeles? A cultural, historic piece of art that's going to stay there?
It's going to be a very expensive one.
An expensive one,
a very expensive one, because on the news they were saying that supposedly it was like an abandoned building.
It's an abandoned building, yeah.
So in my eyes, I was like, is it really abandoned or was it just like still mid-construction?
So because it's abandoned, is that considered vandalism? Because it belongs to nobody.
That's what I don't know, bro. It trips me out, but I wanted to ask you that really quick because obviously that's probably one of the biggest, I would say, biggest things as far as for like murals that's so popular, other than like a billboard. Yeah, let's call it a billboard.
I say graffiti's biggest billboard right now. Right, like it's there, and so it made its mark.
That's why I was like, bro, we were getting into the graffiti thing. I was like, bro, that right there is crazy. The person that started it is probably just like, work is done. Look what I've done. You know what I'm saying?
And whoever put their name there first created such a mark for everyone to feel free to express themselves. You know, so sometimes I feel like that's what it takes. It takes that one fish in the pond to jump out. You know, to show
upstream,
to show everyone that you can possibly jump into a bigger stream, jump into a bigger lake, jump into a bigger environment. Right. You know, and that's really what he did.
Yeah, bro.
He did it, and everyone followed.
Yeah, and it to this day, like, it's literally right here down the street.
And it's not easy, man. It's not easy getting up there.
That's another thing. Yeah,
stories up there. Those cans. You know, once you put a couple cans in your backpack, man, they weigh a good 20, 30 pounds.
Because the thing is, like, if you looked at it, if based off videos and everything else like that, like, it's not just graffiti cans, it's actual paint too. Yeah, so that's like, imagine the buckets you have to take up, you know what I mean?
Even just organizing the whole event on how you're going to do it. You know, you've got to climb 20, 30, 40 feet carrying those things up and down, like the amount of effort and what these artists really put into it, man. Like, it's way beyond what I was doing as a kid compared to now. But, you know, my props to those artists that make their mark to express themselves.
The elevator's not active. So that's a high-rise building for those of you that don't understand. Yeah. That's fucking high. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get your little take on that because that's probably one of the biggest ones. And obviously, you know, since you did graffiti and you still do, obviously to this day, it's like, did you like? What did you think of it? And it was nice, bro, to fucking see the colors and everything that they chose. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's really tripping me out. But I want to ask you a little, let's just dive in a little deep into your fitness. How did you exactly like come to the realization, like, all right, like, because obviously you have a business, right? Which is painting. But now you're like, I want to throw myself into this business and do this. Because I had my buddy Jake. I don't know if you got an opportunity to watch the video.
That podcast.
So that's my boy Jake. So he worked in a painting environment as well, full time, and then he did the fitness training part time. Really, so that's why it's funny because I'm like, you're doing painting full time and you want to do this also full time, and he came from that full time and now he's doing training. So it's just it's funny, it's nice, and then kind of coincidental, I guess. Yeah,
on those selective few. I feel like everyone has a purpose in the world, you know, whether it's good, bad. I mean, I don't mean to say how I do, but it's like, if there was no one robbing the streets, killing the streets, would these police officers work as much? You know, would we need such a big department? You know, if there wasn't people, you know, doing the bad things, would we recognize all the good things? Right. You know, sometimes we never really stop to enjoy the world and what's going on and how everyone kind of partakes to that. You know, if people weren't working at McDonald's, are you going to be eating every day? Are you going to be enjoying your lunch?
That's facts.
You know, why? Because someone is less than you, or because they're doing something less than you, because you feel you're in this place. I mean, everyone has a position to play, even you, you know, fulfilling your own dreams, you know, with the podcast, kind of giving someone a microphone to express how they're feeling in their life. You know, it's really important that we, you know, take into consideration everyone plays an important role, whether it's a janitor cleaning our schools for, you know, the new upcoming generations and the people that are teaching our new and upcoming generations, you know. So I think that's cool that your friend was painting and training, because not too many people you can say they've done the same things or same careers and ended up a certain way.
Yeah, that's why I like. The thing that I'm enjoying a lot about doing podcasting, bro, is like you find a lot of similarities in people, especially the people that so far that I've brought on are a little bit of an entrepreneur themselves for the most part. I would say out of the 10 that I've already had interviews with, like 8 are entrepreneurs. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy to me how that balance works, because like I said, you do painting and full time pretty much, and you're doing the whole fitness, the training and everything. So you're doing it full time. So it's kind of like, what was the main itch that you were like, I want to train people? Like, what was it exactly?
Yeah, really. Well, kind of starting out to fitness, man. Like when I first was kind of just picking up sports, I had an older brother. He was always better than me in like sports, video games, things like that. Not that it was a competition, but he could just perform better, play better. Overall, he was a great athlete. Still is to this day. And like I would always feel like, man, like I'm slow or I'm fat, and I was. You know, I was a little overweight as a kid in middle school. I would just like eat hot Cheetos and like drink those tall Arizona cans. And I'd have like 1 or 2 a day, man, mind you. And it kind of just became a natural habit every day. Just get $2, $3, buy a bag of chips. That's what it used to cost.
So that was your
man.
addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it used to be, my addiction, man. And that's what it used to cost back in the day. $1.50 for a bag of hot Cheetos and 99-cent Arizona cans. Like, as a kid, a couple bucks was all you needed.
Living life, bro.
Living life, bro. A couple bucks was all you needed.
Hey, shout out to Arizona though. They're still 99 cents. They're
out to
holding it
Arizona,
down,
man.
bro. They're like,
They are.
nah, we're not going up
We
yet.
can't change it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That reminds me of that scene of the fucking Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm
yeah.
not fucking leaving.
I'm not leaving, man. Not yet. But yeah, shout out to Arizona for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, man. So I kind of was like, not really aware that I was overweight. Like I said, I came from a household where we always ate good. My father, we ate good. My mom, she cooked. We ate out all the time. So I didn't really pick it up. And then my brother, you know, over some time, he started to like mess with me, pick on me as I got older. And he would like, you know, scoop my chest and be like, oh, titty boy, you got girl titties, you got man titties, da 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 da. So it went a period of time like, oh, he's just my older brother. You know, he's just bugging me, mind you, whatever it be, right? Over some time, I kind of started to look at myself in the mirror every day before I would shower. I'd be like, I do have titties.
You're like, damn.
I do. And then I kind of started feeling myself and like touching myself. And I'm like, this don't feel good to me. Like, it just don't feel good. And I would look at myself and I was like, I think I'm fat. But I was a little kid. So I didn't like have too much emotion. Like, oh, I'm fat. I was just like, I'm not like my brother. Or I'm not skinny or whatever it be. And one day I was in the shower, I was scrubbing my body, and I was like, I don't feel good about myself. I think I need to like start working out or whatever. So I, you know, my brother and my dad would work out in the garage time to time occasionally. My brother would always work out at school, so I would never really see him. But my dad would work out in the garage a lot. So I would see him working out, and you know, this guy's a big guy, you know, 6 foot, 350 pounds, like picking up 200 pounds, overhead pressing it, military pressing it, you know, lay down with it, bench it, incline bench it, then pick it up off the rack, deadlift it, row it. And I was like, man, dude, this guy's a monster. He wasn't fit and six pack and everything, but just real big build, strong guy, you know. So I was like, man, I think I got inspired to work out and just start kind of taking care of myself. I didn't really know what it was at the time because I was so young. I mean, shortly after I got into Arnold Schwarzenegger and, you know, the Blueprint on YouTube, that was really big when I was growing up in the fitness world. I mean, that was really all we had. Then Generation Iron came out, all these bodybuilding movies, and like when Netflix was kind of just starting to take off, it was on there. And so I watched it, and that's when I was like, oh man, like I want to be like these guys. Like I want to work out like these guys. I want to look like these guys. I kind of got addicted to how they looked. Mind you, I was really, really overweight at the time. So I kind of just started starving myself. I started like getting malnourished. I stopped eating and just eating apples and bananas and drinking water. No food at all. I think I did it for about 4 months. And I would say I got like almost anorexic, man. Like
Damn,
I
bro.
went from like, I think it was 205 to like 125 pounds, like just skin and bones.
Wow.
And the transition for me, I was like, yeah, I'm great. I feel good, da 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 da. And then my grandma started to notice I had like spots on my face. And she's like, oh, ¿por qué traes manchas? Like, you're not eating right, da 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 da. I was like, oh, it's okay, grandma. She's like, mira, estás tan flaco, you're all skinny now. And I was like, no, grandma, I'm good. I felt good about myself, you know? And she's like, oh, I got you chips and Oreos. And I was like, oh, no, grandma, I don't want
You're
that.
like, nah,
I don't want that no more, you know? Before, you know, typical child, my grandma would always have Capri Suns, Oreos, chips whenever we went over to her house, you know, to enjoy. So of course, being kids, we would indulge in that and eat it, and you know,
It's crazy because it's like, it's not necessarily your like people might see that as like, oh, your grandma did just
Your grandma's
bought you
bad,
junk,
yeah.
you know? No, it's like, no, like
it's out of love.
it's out of love. They'll be like, hey, you're just a kid. Like, I want to make sure you have those kid treats and comfort and everything. So, you know, I get that, but that's crazy, bro. Like,
And so over time, I just started to like notice my bad habits, you know, and then I was like, no, grandma, I can't eat that. And I went from feeling like I was, you know, fit and healthy to going to the doctor like, oh man, you're anemic. You got no iron. Like you need more of this, you need more of that. And I was like, whoa, like I thought I was healthy. So I was like, what is it? What is being healthy and what is being unhealthy? And it kind of opened my eyes into health and fitness. Shortly after some time, my father, you know, did get diabetes, type 2 diabetes, from being overweight. He's also a truck driver himself, man, owner, operator. He's on the road, crucially putting over 90 hours, you know, a week, depending on where he's driving to and his loads and stuff. He does out-of-state trips. So I was like, man, my dad's sick. Like, he looks good, but he's sick. you know, and it wasn't because he was in bad health, just the comfort of life and working every day and coming home out of state and then sitting down as well. You know, the activity and being fatigued, like he's not really burning calories and he's indulging in gas station foods and hot dogs and chips and whatever on the go just because he's trying to provide a living, you know. And so it was like, wow, like, is this all a sign, you know, like how I need to take care of myself? And I didn't really understand it being young, but as I started to get older, freshman year of high school, starting to be, you know, interested in girls, you know, seeing the water polo guys and they're very fit, it's like, wow, you know, like
That kind of throws it in a little bit, huh? The girls goes, all right, it's time.
Yeah, it's time to start taking care of myself.
You know, I gotta just start throwing in that little 6-pack real quick.
Yeah,
or the top 4 at least.
At least a 4. When you start finding an interest of girls, it definitely plays.
Yeah, it plays a little role. But then though, let me be honest though, the older you've got, like, I go based off of just this. All right, look. A lot of videos on social media. Have you ever seen the thing where it goes like, dad bod or fit bod?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? A lot of girls, dad bod. But it from what I've got is a lot of the girls that say it's because it makes them feel a little insecure of them not being in that position of being fit.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? But anyway, just to get back, I just wanted to throw that in really quick because I was like, oh yeah, I was talking about, you know, seeing that little clip or whatever, and I was like, oh, let me see that.
It's definitely true. But now from the same thing, man, like with art, graffiti to fitness, like when I started out in fitness in high school, it was nothing.
It wasn't cool.
Fitness was nothing, dude.
You never really seen a girl in there either, unless it was like for sport.
Yeah,
but that's it. But
whether she was running track, volleyball, and if you seen a girl like that, shorts and the aesthetic that it is now in the gym, the environment, it was only volleyball.
Only volleyball,
water polo.
Water polo, yeah, water polo girls too, yeah. And I was like, damn, like you'd be like that, but bro, in some cases, back then, bro. What the crazy part is, back then, girls were seen more masculine because of that, and a lot of girls were scared of looking like that, right?
They didn't want to wear shorts.
They didn't want to do all that stuff or anything because then they'd be like, oh, why is this so like this, or why is that, or like why do you have so much muscle and like you have more muscle than this guy or whatever, you know. Yeah. But it's a true thing that you're saying. It wasn't as popular as it is now. So
everything has transitioned so much because of social media. And you know, like you were saying, how would I feel now? You know what? That's honestly my take. I was like, man, what if I would have started as a young kid, you know, like vlogging or, you know, recording my lifestyle and how I transitioned to everything. If Instagram was a thing back then, man, I don't know what it possibly could have became now due to the prolonged exposure. Excuse me. I would say now, you know, you kind of just post a shirtless picture, a girl posts a revealing picture, you kind of get exposure slightly fast. You know, it's really easy to put yourself out there. Just depends on how you do it. You know, I could say, you know, with your podcast, I'm sure there's a lot of other podcasts that have other topics that kind of just popped out one time with this famous artist and boom, it takes off, right?
Yep.
And how you're starting now, you're progressing and you're building. Now it's like, you know, say if you would have started a podcast when you were 15 years old,
bro,
and brought it up to now, you know what I'm saying?
Would have been solid. Would have been solid. I would have. The reason
That's
why
what we're doing now, that we're building this.
We're building it right now. So you know, it's getting there. But the crazy thing is that, like, this is the beauty and I guess the not so beautiful side of it. The beautiful side of it is that we got to enjoy our childhood and enjoy it. Didn't bring out our phones. We didn't do anything for the phone. We did it because we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Would have been a little different. I'm sure it would have been more for the content. It would have been more for that. But also too, it's like the lifestyle that we had before. It was like literally just a lifestyle. We were just living a life. And now it's like you're doing a lifestyle for entertainment purposes. You get what I'm saying?
Honestly, because people find that entertaining. Watching your lifestyle becomes entertaining, man.
It does after a while. And the one thing that I was saying on I don't know what episode it was on, that it already came out, but it's I had told them, I was like, the reason why I enjoy podcasting is because I don't have that itch for history that I loved in school. Like, I love history. So, like, me,
I did too.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, learning and having a conversation with someone, it's like, oh, this is cool. This is bringing me, like, a little bit of someone's history that I'm learning. Someone's either past or future that I'm going to, like, link up with. Be like, oh, look, there's a lot of similarities now. Like, when you look at history back in the day, you're like, why did this happen? Or why? Or whenever let's just say this. You look at a history book and you'll be like, why were people so dumb that they allowed this to happen to themselves? Right. You know what I mean? That's like, true. How? And then you now, like, after our certain recent, you know, pandemic, you start to realize, like, that's how they do it. And you know what I mean? You have an understanding. So, like, history does repeat itself either in certain ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, It's a trip, but yeah, this is my, I guess, my itch, my history itch. This is it, and I enjoy it. And it would have been for sure different if I would have had this if I was 15, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, yeah, we
no
kind of went off on a little tangent there, but yeah.
We just go back and forth.
Yeah, no, but yeah, bro, it's crazy to see that transition. I'm sure for you then to seeing how everything is now, especially after we just said like it wasn't as popular.
Yeah,
and so, but yeah,
over some time, man, just working out. And in high school, I kind of started playing football, baseball, wrestling, becoming a tri-sport athlete, and just, doing the conditioning and everything they did. I kind of started to get addicted to it and the challenges and the adrenaline you get when you work out, So I got into weightlifting, Arnold and all that. And as I became older, it was honestly very similar thing too. I was working out, bodybuilding. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. Same. It was a few years after graffiti and stuff. I picked up bodybuilding. The same thing. My dad was like, picking up weights, man, is never gonna fucking pay you. Picking up weights is never gonna pay your bills. It's just a little activity for fun, So like everything kind of got shot down for me a little early. So once I moved out and I was on my own and I had my own independence and I was somewhat established with my businesses, I was like, so I'm painting houses. I'm changing the world one house at a time, because painting these houses is changing them ultimately forever. If it never gets repainted, and I was like, well, now that I've changed a few houses, like how can I change a life? Because when I was fat and overweight, I wish I had someone to motivate me and to guide me in the direction on how to get where I was going. Because I was trying to be fit, I was trying to be healthy, and I did it the wrong way. And ultimately, I would say it did affect me for some time. Like I said, I was anemic. I wasn't in the greatest physical shape. I was just really skinny. I had no muscle development, things like that. So getting into fitness, I was like, man, I remember when I first started working out, like I wish I would have had someone to show me, like lay it out for me on how to do it right. From hydration, water is really important, nutrition, everything that plays a role in fitness. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to start training people, and it was slowly coming about, like, private gyms, commercial gyms, everything at like 24-hour fitness. And like, I'd say, LA Fitness didn't really intrigue me too much. It didn't really stand out. It didn't really stand out to me. And so like on Instagram, I started seeing like all the self-made stuff. They're really big in the training culture, I'd say right now. Started out in like,
is self-made a brand or is it?
It's a brand.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I wasn't sure if it was just the entrepreneurship self-made part of it or it was the actual brand. Sorry.
Yeah, it's actual brand. So it's pretty much like a culture gym. They're like all over now. It's a private gym. Started seeing a lot of them around. I was like, man, like this guy's like changing lives through training, helping people, guiding them, and how to properly be fit, how to properly lose weight, how to gain muscle, how to do all these things. So over some time, I was kind of always doubting myself, like, I couldn't do this, like I couldn't do that. I was just watching, observing, and just watching all the content that would come up, and how this guy was Miguel Aguilar. He was opening other gyms and like changing the game through fitness. And so over some time, I was painting for probably about maybe 4 to 5 years until recently, I'd say 2022. That's when I seen an opportunity up here in Hollywood, and I was like, you know what, man, I've always wanted to be a trainer. This guy has a gym. I kind of went through a little funny loop with him. I got messaged by him on a fake account. It was someone pretending to be him.
Those are always great.
Dude, I was so excited, man. I was like, oh my God, dude, this guy's hitting me up like, oh, whoa, like talking about fitness. And I was like, I've always dreamed of something like this. So, mind you, I'm talking to this guy. It's a complete scam. It's not the real guy. And so once I caught on, I seen the names and the videos, and I was like, wait a second, this is not him. Like, this is a fucking imposter.
You're like,
bro.
You fucking catfish me. Yeah, you son of a bitch.
Me, right? So I sent the screenshot to him, and I was like, hey man, this person is like, no, that's not me. I'm completely sorry. And then I had kind of started talking with the fake person about a like opportunity to be a trainer, and he was like talking me into it, like, yeah, we'll help you out with all that. Just invest in this crypto and send money here. And dude, I was probably about a few seconds away from doing it before I kind of got a hold of what I was doing. And so he's like, no man, delete it, report it, And so I sent him the screenshots, and I was like, well, now since we're here, man, if you're interested, I would like an opportunity to be a trainer. And that's kind of how I ended up training at
It's a great fucking window right there.
Honestly,
look at that,
dude,
bro.
I was
That
like,
shit
it kind of
was-
fell in my lap or
bro,
something,
it just
right?
fucking, it was like, I wanted it. It was a scam, and now it's real, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
So
That's sick.
It kind of happened in a funny pattern, man. And so, I did end up here in North Hollywood. I was training at Self-Made Hollywood for quite some time. It was good and bad. I kind of just got my feet wet, stepping into the training world, and I'd say taking it on full force, and being invested as an entrepreneur in starting a business in fitness. So like anything, you start off slow. So that's how I got into fitness and, became a trainer, started out there. That was the first gym I trained at. And I kind of got a feel for it, and I started helping clients in different ways aside from fitness and just their general life. One of my first clients, his name was Brian. He was a real overweight guy. My age, a year younger than me, and he would see me at the 24-hour fitness all the time. I'd go to locally, and he'd say, hey, man, you have a great physique. I see you all the time. Like, I just wanted to ask you, like, how do I do it? I kind of want some help. And I was like, oh, man, I would love to help you. But to be honest, at that time, I was like, I'm kind of not really, like, training. This was prior to becoming a trainer. I was like, I'm not really training, man. I'm not really interested in training you. Like, I got my own life. To stop and train you, it kind of slow me down. Painting, I paint, then I come, and I hit the gym, and I go home, I go to work. I have a schedule, I have a routine. You're kind of gonna slow me down. If I have to stay an extra hour, 2 hours, because I gotta show you form, correct this, correct that. Like, it's not just working out, man. He's like, okay, cool. I kind of shot him down. I did feel really bad about it, and he said, it's okay, man. I understand 100%. Like, you have your life. It's cool. Started seeing him around more, and over some time, maybe about like 3 months later, that's when I became a trainer. I seen him again, and I was like, hey, man, remember when you asked me to work out, dude? Like, I'm completely sorry. I'm in a better space now. Check it out. I actually became a trainer, and I'm at this gym. If you'd like to come and train with me, feel free to come work out. Okay, he came and started working out with me, dude. In 3 months, he made a great transition. He went from 280 pounds, bro, to 210, and he was looking great. And he asked me, he's like, oh, since I made this transformation, like, I don't fit in none of my clothes no more. Would you come with me to the store to pick out outfits? And I was like,
at first, it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it?
It sounded very weird.
It sounds
very,
odd,
very strange, right? And I was just like, there's no way, man. Like, I was like, I kind of was gonna tell him no, and then he kind of just started talking. He's like, look, man, last weekend I went and hung out with my friends, and they were out shopping and buying all this stuff, and because they're even smaller than me, the store didn't have anything that fit me. And it made me realize, like, I want to change my wardrobe, and that's part of why I wanted to lose weight, because I didn't fit into the clothes that I wanted to wear. And now I fit in them, and I want to go with you to pick them out. And I was just like, all right, man, fuck it.
Yeah,
let's do it,
fuck it, yeah.
We went to the mall, dude. He started putting it on, and just seeing him light up, man, like his own expressions of himself, how happy he was, how fulfilled he felt to put the clothes on and feel comfortable in his own skin, the confidence he had, bro. I was just like, wow, like, honestly, beyond before tears. Like, I was just like, it made such an impact to me, because when I painted someone's house, it's like, wow, yeah, it looks great. Like, oh my gosh, it kind of gave me that same fulfillment. And seeing him be so happy and how, he looked. And I was like, wow, dude, like, I just helped this guy more than I really thought I helped him. And this guy's all suited up, and he walks up to me and just gives me a hug, and this dude breaks down crying, man. And he was just like, oh, like, you don't know what this means to me, how this makes me feel. And feeling that feeling was kind of like, that was me. That was me when I was a young kid. Like, I wanted someone to help me, in trying to find who I was trying to be. I kind of had to create that for myself, which is okay. It kind of gave me the characteristics and, the development that I needed for myself, So when he gave me that, I kind of got that too. Like, from when I first was starting out, and I was like, wow, like, this is way more than working out.
Yeah.
Like, this is way more than just working out. In time, I started getting more clientele and, continued on training. But I didn't have an impact on any of my other clients like I did on Brian.
Right on.
That guy was
that one's always going to stick with you. And you know what's funny,
sure.
bro? It's like, they always say, like, your first one always, like, sticks with you. Well, they also say that in murder, but you know what I mean? Like, just in general, you know what I mean? But that's cool, though, bro.
Well, what's crazy about it is that, like, at that time, because I was just starting out, like, I didn't know what training was. I didn't know how to be a trainer. I was just like, structured program, nutrition, diet,
And here you
support, and here you go. You know. So I wasn't documenting. I wasn't asking him to document. I'm sure he was, but like I didn't like invest in it as much as I should have. Where I should have been like, oh, I'll get the progress and the transformation and everything. Mind you, I was just starting out the training, and that's what sticks with me so much. Is that like now I'm like trying to capture pictures and telling my clients online check-ins, this, that, to show the next person that you can do it too. It was kind of just my investment in him, and I think back like, man, it would have been great if I had some before and after pictures of him. Because his transformation was amazing. But then I stopped and realized like that was my first one. I think that one was solely like a memory for
you,
for me to just keep, and really enjoy the whole process in that, because I feel like if I would have put the camera before me, the camera is capturing more of that
than you are,
than I really am at that time. Now it's kind of like clients, yeah, here or there, but nothing hits like actually feeling that and going through that transformation with him.
Yeah, and it's crazy, bro, because it goes literally back to the cycle of like you enjoyed life with that moment than trying to capture that life moment.
Yeah, and I think that's very important to do nowadays too with social media. We kind of get caught up on trying to entertain everyone and expose all of our lives. We'll slow down and forget to smell the roses sometimes, like they say,
Those little conversations in between everything also help out a lot.
Yeah.
But with that being said, bro, look, I'm gonna cut it off there because we're already hitting our mark. But you're more than welcome to come back. I'm gonna go ahead and put all of your information down below so they can go ahead and contact you. And then so his Instagram and everything else. If I ask you for a website or whatever, I'm gonna put it down there. So
definitely.
But again, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Truly do appreciate it, especially when we have awesome guests like this. So make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up, give it a like, and give him a follow, please, because who knows, you might be that person that needs that extra fitness journey. So with that being said, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because I'll let you guys know every time we upload. And see you guys on the next one. Peace.
See you guys on the next one.